Lens issues like barrel distortion and vignetting, or perspective problems like keystoning and wonky horizons can crop up in all kinds of photography, but they're especially apparent in architectural and landscape shots like this. Luckily, Lightroom offers several powerful tools for fixing these issues, and some of these require just a single click. So I've got my 3 images here in Lightroom's library module. You can just go to the import button down here to import the images, and then I'll start by bringing them into the develop module. And we'll begin with this image here, and you can see this image has an obvious problem. The horizon isn't straight and everything's looking off kilter. But because I used a wide angle lens, there are also a few more subtle issues. We've got a little bit of barrel distortion where these lines appear to curve slightly as they reach the edges of the frame. And this is something that you'll often see with images that have been shot with a wide angle lens. And if we go to the histogram at the top, you can see this shot was taken on a crop sensor camera with a focal length of 13mm. So it's very wide. So let's try and fix the barrel distortion to begin with. Let's go down to the lens correction panel on the right here, and then we can go into these various tabs here to adjust different things. We can start off in the basic panel here, and notice we have the option to enable profile corrections. And in fact, if we just go to the profile tab here, you can see we have that same option in both of those tabs. So we can check it, and this gives us an automatic correction based on the particular make and model of the lens used. And notice that that lens has been detected here in the lens profile options, and it was a Tamron 10 to 24mm wide angle. So if I just toggle it off and on again, you can see it's quite a subtle difference, but these lines have been straightened that were once slightly curved, and also the image becomes slightly lighter, and that's because the effect also gets rid of any vignetting. And again, that's based on the particular make and model of lens used. Now, if your lens doesn't show up in the options here, you can always open up these drop downs and then choose the make and the model by selecting them manually from the list, and you'll find most lenses in the list. And if not, you can always go on and make your own profile using Adobe's free downloadable piece of software called Adobe Lens Profile Creator. Now let's head back to the basic panel, and notice we've got a set of buttons down here in the upright section, and these let us fix various perspective issues. And in this case, we obviously have that wonky horizon. So if we check the level button here, notice that fixes the horizon immediately to give us a straight image. If we try vertical, you can see we get a slightly different effect. So it's worth clicking through these different options here. If we try full, then we usually get quite a distorted effect, but it can work on particular images, which I'll show you in a second. So let's just hit off again, and then perhaps just try level like that. Now there's one other fix I want to make to this image. If we just zoom in close to an area over here, perhaps you can see there's some color fringing along areas of high contrast like the posts here, where we have kind of a cyan ghost along each post. So we could try checking remove chromatic aberration, and you can see that does a great job of fixing that color fringing. So that's 3 simple clicks and our image is fixed. We've corrected the horizon, fixed barrel distortion, and got rid of color fringing. Now let's move on to another image. In this case, we'll try this image here. And this particular image is suffering from a different problem. In this case, we have keystoning where the vertical lines are converging. And we can fix this perhaps by checking these different buttons again. Let's try auto, and that gets us pretty close. Let's try level. That doesn't do a great deal. Vertical kind of leaves us with a bit of a wonky roof here. If we go full, that tries to straighten all of the lines in the image. And I think that's getting us fairly close. But it does look as if the top of the building here is looming forward slightly. So we can always go into the manual options here to apply manual adjustments. Let's start by just dragging the scale slider here backwards slightly, just so we can see more of our image. And then let's adjust the vertical slider here If we just bring that to about there, I think that looks a bit more natural. And we could also adjust the aspect slightly just to make our building slightly more tall. And then of course we just need to finish off with a crop. So let's grab the crop tool and just crop in slightly. Let's right click and uncheck constrain aspect ratio, and then just drag these points in to get rid of those messy edges. So that's that image fixed. Now let's go to our third image, this one here, and notice with this particular image the verticals aren't perfectly straight here. So we could try going back into the basic panel here, and we'll start off by enabling the profile corrections again, and then try the vertical fix. And that's giving us these nice straight vertical lines, but it's also messed up the crop slightly. So what I'd like to do is fix that. So I'm going to go back into the manual options here, maybe bring out the scale slightly just to give me a bit more room to work with, and again just grab the crop tool and crop in until I'm happy. And I prefer that crop there. So there we have it. That's a brief introduction to the powerful lens correction options here in Lightroom. And of course, once you're finished, you can always just go on and export your frames here. So I'll highlight all three here, and then I can go to File, Export, to export them in a different file format like a TIFF or a JPEG down here in the image format options.